Hey y'all, I'm Shayna and I'm back with another review. This is for Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 4 and 5, Reunion Part 1. So we're going to get into it. Y'all know they put like 4 and 5 together. So we're just going to jump right into everything that Part 1 is giving. Be sure to like the video, it helps with the algorithm, and subscribe. Okay, so we start off the same every time. Carlos King is getting his Andy Cohen on, going from room to room, talking from couple to couple. And then he knocks on Martel's door and he's on the phone with Sheree. Just so happens he's on the phone with her when Carlos knocks. And he grabs the phone and he's like, You're on speaker and on camera. So watch what you say, girl. Because y'all know he used to produce over there on Real Housewives of Atlanta. So she says nothing but nice things. So he's like, Is there anything we need to know about Martell? There's not much worse than what we already know. I mean, you can't get any worse than having an outside baby. But she was like, No, he's much different than what we see on TV. He had that baby in real life. That was not just TV. He really had that baby. But she was saying all these good things, and he was like, "Oh, girl, you gonna get a ring for that." Stop, stop. You ain't giving her no ring, and she don't want no ring. But okay, I hear you. Put it on and make him want to marry me. So Carlos asked if she was in love, and she hung up on him. So there's that. Keep your ring. So the original six come out, and that's all we pretty much see for a majority of the first part of the reunion. But we got the comeback group coming out on the stage. First, we got the Scots 2.0. And Kimmy, I mean, her body looks amazing. Her body has always looked good, even with the cancer and everything. Like, that don't affect her at all. But I wasn't feeling that dress. I didn't like it. Then we see, Martell, we see Scott's 1.0, and Melody walks out, and Carlos introduces her as Melody Cherie because she doesn't want to go by Melody Holt anymore. And Martell yells out, he said, and we have Melody Cherie. Marcel yells, Holt, Melody Holt. Not you was just talking to Sheree, talking about you gonna give her a ring, but you want to make sure we know that that's Melody Holt. Okay, Sheree, get your PR man. So we get started and we see all of their success and the cheers to their accomplishments and how it started off as just a figment of their imagination and now they're really living in their dreams. So that was really great to see everybody cheering for each other except for Melody being petty and literally like the first minute. And she was just like, Well, last year I gave a nice speech. I cheered for everybody and it didn't air. So I don't care this year. I don't care what y'all got going on. I don't care. How is that the cast fault? Like, why are you not cheering for them because the production didn't air your speech? Like, that don't even make no sense. Like, she just trying to be mad. Like, she came in there with an agenda, and that's to be angry. So Maurice was like, Look, I'm proud of everybody. And then him and Melody proceed to go back and forth. But Maurice was like, Look, I even streamed your songs that was talking about my boy. And Marcel was like, Why would you be listening to that song? And he was like, To support you, to get the extra streams so you can have streams for your music. So just to show support. So Maurice goes into his speech and Carlos asks Melody, like, how do you feel about what he had to say? She said he's always giving Martin Luther King Jr. speeches. Marcel started cracking up. That made me laugh. Because, they're petty together. Like, I think they might as well just go ahead on and get back together, honestly. So then Kimmy and Carlos asked Melody, like, what is her issue with Maurice all of a sudden? Like, where is this coming from? And Melody said Maurice and Kimmy did an interview recently, and Maurice tried to downplay her and Kimmy's friendship. I didn't know they was good friends. Last time I checked, Melody said y'all was just her co-workers. And when y'all stopped filming, she don't want nothing to do with y'all. But, I mean, that's just what she said the last time. So she said she didn't feel like that was his place to speak on their friendship. It seemed, I didn't hear an interview, but it seemed like they were asked a question and they answered it. And it is his place because that's his wife. So, again, she's looking for another reason to be upset. And at this point, you getting so mad at everybody, you're literally not going to have anyone to film with next season. Like, you're on an island by yourself. You have to be able to film with someone or you can't be on the show you created. So Kimmy said they don't hang out all the time. Like, they're not girlfriends that just hang out. And that's true. And even Melody has said this as well. And Kimmy said because, Melody checks in on her, she considers her a friend. But I'm like, that's an associate. Like, I check on associates. Like, I've checked on coworkers. You can check on somebody on Facebook. Like, that doesn't make you friends in real life. But that's just my opinion. So Kimmy said, look, you can't keep writing people off. Like, we can't keep writing people off because of a statement. You don't like something they said. Every time somebody says something you don't like, you ready to just write them off. Then you don't have anybody to talk to. Which she kind of, like, validated what Marcel said about her not being able to keep friendships and relationships. Because right now she literally has no friends on the show and no relationship on the show. So it's like you're quick to cut people off and then you end up by yourself. Instead of just working with the people, you're hurting yourself in the long run. So Kimmy was like, look, you made an offensive comment as well on Carlos' After Dark show or whatever it's called, saying Maurice's the most irrelevant cast member, which he is, but that's besides the point. So then the Scots 1.0 said they're making progress on Chateau Scott. They're putting rocks down and they broke ground or whatever. I give it another 10 years before that project is finished. That so-called rental home is their house. Like, just come clean. Like, that's where y'all live. It ain't no rental property. That's y'all house. So Carlos asked Tisha, how was she able to get the majority share of Scope? Since when she got introduced to us, she was just a housewife that Marcel didn't even want to work or leave the house unless she was doing something for the kids. And she was like, oh, it was easy. All I had to do was just buy Marcel out and change some paperwork, and then that was it. I want to know specifics. How were you able to buy Marcel out? How were you, because your husband already had share in Skoll, so how were you able to buy him out if you were just a housewife and you weren't working? Something ain't adding up. Because then it's always behind the scenes. It was Tisha's credit that got them stuff, allegedly. That's what the streets are saying. Like, it was Tisha's name on a lot of things. So how is Tisha's credit good? Where is she getting this money from when he didn't want her to work? Like, the math ain't mathing. But Carlos asked Marcel if he regrets giving up his share, and he's in the middle of saying no when she cuts him off and is like, well, he should. And then Carlos was like, why should he? And she was like, well, the company was in the red, and now it's a multi-million-dollar company, and we bought you out for pennies on a dollar. And Marcel said Tisha should be thanking him. He already had an established business with Melody at the time, Holt and Holt. And, basically he helped them get to the point where Holt and Holt was. And he said it takes companies 4 to 5 years to come off the ground. So it's normal to say you were in a negative for a few years and now it's a multi-million-dollar company because the company it was a starter company at the time. And he's right. He is right. That's true. So for her to say that and keep throwing, she brought it up like 10 times this season, to keep throwing that in his face doesn't make sense. He did have an established business, but Marcel made a point, because Melody said, I helped out, I gave you contracts and gave you, hooked you up with my connections. Marcel said, look, it was 50-50. I had the builder's license. One thing Marcel should have done a long time ago is get that builder's license. Like, that was his second biggest mistake right after cheating on his wife and having a baby, was not getting that builder's license. But Carlos asked Marcel if he enjoys working with Tisha now. Because, in the beginning he was saying he didn't want to work with her, he don't like working with her. And he's saying, ain't nothing changed, I still don't like working with her. Like, she's helping you in so many ways, and it's just like, he don't appreciate it at all. Oh my goodness, I don't know how she did with him. So Tisha said they need help, like, separating business from personal. Like, she wants to talk to some seasoned married folks who are working together and how they're able to separate business from pleasure. They don't want to talk to Dr. Francis, so he's out. So Carlos asked about the lawsuit against Skoll. I didn't even know there was a lawsuit. So Tisha said the lawsuit is why Marcel went to Africa alone, because he was so upset. Like, girl, what? So Marcel was like, oh, that was the reason? And she was like, that was one of the reasons. And he was like, that's the reason why he left the home and went to Africa alone, because of a lawsuit? And she was like, well, he wasn't at the gym. And we know Marcel was telling Melody he was going to the gym when he was really out cheating. Man literally was crawling on the floor, had a broken leg, and was still finding time to cheat. I mean, it's crazy. But, girl, you sound silly. Yeah, he wasn't at the gym. See, Marcel was only going out cheating for a few hours. Your man is going to a whole nother continent. He done left the whole country to go cheat on you. I mean, allegedly. That's crazy. So Carlos said Tisha's a smart woman, like book smart, but people think she's naive when it comes to Marcel. I think she chooses to be naive when it comes to that man. And she said she made a comment saying if he's cheating, God will reveal it. I think it's true. He will reveal. That's why I ain't gone through a phone or anything in a long time, like 10 years at least. Like, I don't do that because it will come out. If something's going on, it might not come out today or tomorrow. It will come out. You know, when you're not even looking, it will come out. So Tisha says she's not going to divorce her husband off of hearsay with no proof. Nobody's, after all this time, they've been on the show for 5 years. There's been no proof, no pictures. The only picture was that one picture going around on somebody's back, and they try to say it wasn't his back. It looked like it was his back to me, but that ain't my husband. So Carlos asked Melody if she had any proof. And Melody was like, well, let me ask you, Carlos, because you was on the call with me and, you know, the alleged mistress, the other so-called woman. Carlos denied. He like, I don't remember that. Don't put me in that. I don't got nothing to do with that. So Tisha said Melody was trying to pay that woman, her friend, to come on the show and basically, you know, expose Marcel. I believe that Melody was definitely trying to do that because she was hurt that first season and she didn't want to be the only one looking foolish. So I believe that she did it because hurt people hurt people. So Melody said that she was going to bring the woman on to a girls trip years ago because this happened a long time ago, so the woman could share her story because she was saying she didn't know he was married, etc., etc. So Martell said, how would Melody know what the woman was going to say? Duh, because they had a conversation, because they were talking, they communicated. Like, what kind of question was that? That didn't even make sense. Like, he just was sitting there thinking of something to say, and that just wasn't it. Those kinds of silly questions may work on your wife, but they ain't working on nobody else. So Marcel starts getting loud and over talking Melody. Melody keeps saying, let me be clear, let me be clear, let me be clear, let me be clear, over and over again. And finally, like, she like, look, I ain't gonna keep arguing with legs, hips, and breast. I said, what is this, a 3-piece at Popeyes? Legs, hips, and breast. It goes legs and hips and body, not in breast. But anyway, so Tisha just sat there and let her talk about her man that way. She didn't even check her. Let me tell you something. When Melody was still married to Martell, ain't no way somebody would have got away with saying that and she wouldn't have checked him. Like, you ain't about to sit here where I'm sitting here next to my husband and say that and I'm just going to sit there quiet. Even if he is a raggedy cheater. Allegedly. So Carlos said that there was a combo with the original 6. He doesn't know. That's just what he heard because he wasn't there. And they were saying what not to discuss. And Martell, was saying like, yeah, that's true. He was like, yeah, like saying not to bring up Maurice hanging out until 4 a.m. If you wasn't supposed to bring that up, why you just bring it up? Like, what? Martell can't be trusted. He real slick and sneaky with it. So Kimmy was like, yeah, that's true. And Carlos was like, why didn't you want that to be mentioned? Because she want to portray like they the couple, they the good Scots, like her man don't do no wrong. He just like his brother. He just a little more low key with it, but he just as terrible in my opinion. So Carlos asked about the alleged sex parties at Credit One. I ain't heard about none of these rumors. I don't even what. So Kimmy said her office used to be right above Credit One, but there were no parties. And she was like, it was just the guys needed a place to hang out. Nobody had a man cave at their house. There was no bars around. They had to do this at the credit repair shop. So Carlos was like, well, what was they doing in there if they wasn't doing that? She was like, listening to music, playing cards. Are they college students? What? These are grown married men with children, and they in there every day, or it sounded like it was often, listening to music and playing cards. So Carlos said, look, I'm a gay man, but ain't no man sitting around till 3 a.m. listening to Beyonce. And Kimmy was like, well, look, we weren't together at the time. Every time something come out about Maurice, she want to say they wasn't together. Just like she said they wasn't together when that picture in Atlanta was taken, but y'all had a house together. Y'all were living together. You were helping him raise his son. He was helping you raise yours. Girl, no. I think she feels like if they weren't married, then he could just do what he want. But that's ridiculous. They were together for like 7 years before they got married. So Kimmy was like, look, most of the time, because he was like, were women there? She's like, no, most of the time there weren't women there. So that means some of the times women were there. And Marcel was like, well, just, to make it clear, I wasn't there a lot of those times. And Kimmy was like, but you were there some of those times. I'm like, y'all just keep digging yourselves in deeper holes. Maurice just had to hush her up and be like, listen, at the end of the day, I'm filing lawsuits against anybody who's spreading that rumor. Because Kimmy was talking too much and she was about to get them exposed. So Marcel said he won't expose secrets that was just between him and the guys, even though he always does low key, in my opinion. He been exposing stuff all along. So Carlos said that him and Maurice, he would ask him like, well, has he been with 20 women? And Marcel was like, I don't know how many he been with. I don't know the exact number. Like I said, he always exposing somebody. What you mean you don't know the exact number? So Carlos was like, well, has Marcel been with one woman? And Tisha was like, me, I'm the one woman. And then here go Marcel talking about, that was good, T, that was good. Yeah, but it don't answer the question. So Carlos said that Marcel and Maurice own an apartment together. And Marcel said, no, we didn't. We ain't own nothing together. We ain't own no property together. We ain't do nothing together. I don't even hardly know that man. I ain't never seen that man a day in my life. Shout out to Keke Palmer. And I'm like, maybe y'all rented the apartment then if you didn't own it. Maybe you just rented it. But here goes his brother, Maurice, getting his payback. Talking about, yeah, y'all did. Y'all own Sag Run or Satch Run or whatever the street's called. And I said, Maurice getting payback for that picture. And he don't want to be thrown under the bus again like he was last time for being hush mouth. So Kimmy said, look, he was like, yes, we did own it. The whole comeback group owned it. Tisha was over there confused, like, Sag Run, she ain't know nothing about it. So are we sure the comeback group owned it? Because Kimmy the only wife that's up there that seems to know about it. So Carlos was like, look, bottom line, I believe there's truth to the rumors. There's some truth to some of these rumors. Everybody does, but, that's just our beliefs. So he was like, Carlos doesn't think Tisha could handle it if she found out these rumors were true. I believe that as well. I don't think she can handle it either. And she was like, it would be hard because, I built my whole life around this man. That was your first mistake. Now he knows you won't leave because you built your whole life around him. Like, yeah, you don't want to leave. You don't have intentions on leaving, but you shouldn't make him feel like you won't, like you can do anything to me and I'm just going to stay. No, I'm not. You can't just do anything to me and treat me in any kind of way and I'm just going to stick around. No, I won't. So you need to treat me right. He don't even appreciate that she done helped him with his credit, helped him get his business off the ground. She done helped him lose weight. We saw the pictures. So Carlos brings out cousin Kiki, and I really could have did without her. Like, we've seen her too much during the season, or seasons. And we see Miss Wanda. Miss Wanda was quite quiet. They must have gave her a little pep talk ahead of time. So, Carlos was like, are you nervous? And she was like, no, I'm excited. Yeah, she excited because, remember, it was supposed to be Kiki, not Tisha, sitting on that couch. So Kiki been waiting for her moment because she felt like it was supposed to be her on the show all along. She been doing anything she could to get on the show. So Melody basically admitted what we already know. She invited Kiki to her Christmas party to be messy. Be your own family members who will throw you under the bus just for some clout. So Tisha said Kiki told her Mel looked at her and Marcel's court records. I would hope Melody wouldn't stoop that low because why? Like, yeah, most records are like public record. Why are you looking at their court records? What are you going to do with that? So Tisha was like, you know what? You always following behind her. You're Mel's puppet. Y'all some puppets. And she gets fake mad and she storms off stage. Just to turn around and come back on stage with two literal puppets. Like, she really had props in the back. Like, just waiting for that moment. The people don't like props. Ask them over there, Real Housewives of Atlanta, with Drew Sidor. Like, if you're going to have props, like, it need to make sense. Like, not no puppets. So one puppet had a 27 piece, giving old school Mel from season 1. And the other puppet was Kiki. Tisha performs a little puppet show. And the cast laughs. But I ain't really find it funny. Like, I thought it was kind of corny. So they plopped the props, the puppets. They set them next to Miss Wanda. Just wasting time. So Kiki apparently told the Scotts 1.0 that after Marcel's car accident, Melody was asking her about it, trying to figure out, like, what car was it? What was the car that crashed? Because, he got really expensive cars that cost more than his house. So she was trying to figure out like how can they afford it, and Melody denies it. She like anybody can get a car, like whatever. I believe that she was trying to figure it out because I too wonder. I mean, I think we the people all wondering how y'all got that because y'all they claiming y'all business is a multi-million-dollar company, but how much are you bringing home? Because people get that confused. Just because the has all this money, don't mean that you taking all that money home. And judging by where they living at, I mean, I just don't see it. But that's just my opinion. I don't know. Maybe they stacking it. I don't know. So Carlos tells Kiki she's playing both sides. And Tisha said Kiki knew the pain she was going through and she intentionally tried to hurt her when she was going through so much of her marriage. Going through what, Tisha? What were you going through? Like, because you made it seem like, oh no, we good over here. Ain't nothing going on. It's just rumors. It's just hearsay. Like, it's just people talking. They jealous. But really, you going through. So, Carlos asks Kiki if Tisha ever speculated that Marcel cheated. And Marcel, Miss Wanda was like, tell the truth. Tell the truth, shame the devil. Miss Wanda still don't see it for Marcel after all this time. And I wouldn't either. Like, Miss Wanda know. But she know her daughter ain't gonna leave. If Tisha, like, this whole entire episode almost, like, it was like trying to get Tisha to admit that she would leave Marcel if she found out he was cheating. She probably been knew he was cheating and she probably chose to forgive him. And she wouldn't be the first or the last. Like, stop trying to force this woman to leave her husband. She don't want to go. Just leave it alone. But anyway, basically, Kiki gave a long-winded answer to just go around the bush to say yes, pretty much. And Tisha said Kiki knew a lot about her. They was close. You know, they were cousins, but more like sisters. And she knew there was a picture of a woman in Marcel's phone. And Melody had a big smile on her face like she was vindicated. And I didn't know how to feel about that smile on Melody's face because, first of all, you as a woman who has been through it yourself and you were getting cheated on for 8 years or something like that, and he had a baby on you, why would you be smiling at another woman's pain? But Tisha was making her out to be a liar, so I guess she just feel good like, look, I told you so, I was not lying. I knew I wasn't lying. But if Tisha was gonna expose herself, and she was sitting on that all this time, and she was gonna tell her herself, there was no point of arguing and talking about it's just rumors. You know it's truth to it. You should have just sat quiet. She would have been better off saying, listen, I chose to forgive him, so ain't nothing you can tell me because I already know. I already know everything. Ain't nothing you can tell me. She would have been better off going that route. But that's just part one. So let me know what y'all are thinking in the comments. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.